Welcome to another edition of Nights Around the Fire, your favorite paranormal podcast, actually Canonsburg's #1 paranormal podcast. I'm here with Sue Taylor.
Hi, guys.
I'm David Tomsick, and we're so happy to be here. How are you, Sue?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, and I'm really stoked for this video, Bigfoot 2026.
Yeah, we've got some big updates in the Bigfoot community, so we are here to deliver that information to you right now.
Don't forget, while you're here, squash
that like button.
That helps us with the algorithm. And if you really think we're doing a good job, subscribe to our channel and share the videos. We are happy that you have joined us and trust us with your information on all things paranormal. So today we're going back to Bigfoot.
Yeah, by the time you guys are seeing this, we'll have a few other videos out, including our Ireland series, which we are temporarily interrupting to bring you breaking news from the Bigfoot community.
Right. This is breaking news, definitely. And we want you to know that we want to keep you up on all the trends as much as we can. And if you have any information you'd like to share with us, please give us a comment in the comment section or email us at strangeworlds777@yahoo.com. Okay, Sue, where are we going to go from here?
All right, so we are staying in March of 2026 because that is when this occurred. It was earlier this month, March 6th through the 10th to be exact. And we are going to go to Ohio, specifically in Mantua. I believe I saw it was pronounced online, Garrettsville, Windham, and Newton Township. Those are right in the Cleveland to Youngstown areas, in between Cleveland and Youngstown section of the state.
They're not far from us.
Not far from us. And these are Portage and Trumbull counties, to be exact. Now, you and I are sitting here in Western Pennsylvania, so we are not experts on this area, so I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this area. So we're just going to report on what happened. Okay. There has been a concentrated surge, a cluster, or what cryptozoologists like to call a flap of Bigfoot sightings in the area.
A flap?
A flap, yes. A flap is a cryptozoologist term for multiple sightings in a short amount of time in a small area.
So this is big.
This is big, and so this is so big that this is getting picked up by the New York Times, and one of my sources for this week is People Magazine.
You might not hear that come from her lips very often.
No, People Magazine doesn't usually report on Bigfoot, so here we are.
Because they're not people.
No, he might be.
Well, we don't know that.
We don't know, but yeah, he might be. But yeah, I don't know that Bigfoot reads People Magazine.
Yeah, you never know what's delivered to the woods.
No, but so yeah, that is what is going on in Ohio right now. And so these sightings were moving west to east in the area. So it wasn't like it was one here, one here, one here, one here. They were clearly moving in a straight line. Okay,
so what are the feelings about why this is happening?
So first of all, I'm going to encourage everybody to go check out our friends over at the Bigfoot Society podcast. Jeremiah, who runs that podcast, has been very involved in this, is doing a lot of news reports on this and a lot of reporting on his channel about this. So he's got some very specific, very detailed information over there. But it could be there's been some discussion. We've all been having some weird weather lately. And there could be some discussion that Bigfoot might be trying to get away from the weather, maybe getting away from the tornadoes, something like that. One thing that I heard Bigfoot Society discussing on another podcast was apparently there's a fault line that runs along there, and maybe Bigfoot is moving away from that. Maybe it's some kind of migration, like some sort of mating migration or some sort of hunting migration, and there is water along there. So maybe they are just following the water somewhere.
You know, folks, we did talk about migration in one of our videos. We talked about Washington County, right here where we live. And there hasn't been a sighting for quite a while. And Sue believes that it's because they left, because the county is now being populated as we expand the urban sprawl of the Pittsburgh area. Now, that doesn't mean they're not here. I'm not going to say they aren't, but we believe a lot of them did migrate, right?
Yes, and so that's a good point. Is I don't know how populated or unpopulated this area is, but perhaps maybe they just all decided to move at the same time because these were documented sightings. People saw them. They were, if you're going to look at the BFRO's tracking, they were Class A sightings. So maybe they just all finally decided, okay, this is it. We're all going to move at the same time and get out of here.
I think this goes to what we don't know about Bigfoot.
Right.
You know, all of us report on Bigfoot. Many people don't believe that there's such thing as a Bigfoot. But if they're a creature, they're going to be habits or things they have done for many, many years, for maybe centuries, for all we know, that we can't see or understand because we couldn't document it. This might be part of it. Maybe this group relocates every so often.
Maybe we've talked about the coyotes and what they eat and other animals that they follow before. So we don't know what animal movement looked like in this area about this time. So maybe this is something that they're following animals. Maybe we've also got deer and coyote movement going around out there. Maybe they're following around another pack of animal.
And we also have to understand too, Sue, that although for humans we sort of don't have a lot of change in us, we usually stay where we're at, but there is climate change.
Yes.
Now, we don't understand it completely. Animals maybe understand it more because they are more sensitive to the climate, because they live in the climate. They live in the outdoors. They live where much of this climate change takes place. Maybe there's something that they sense. We don't know, but it's interesting to connotate this, that there's something different.
Yes. So this area is about an hour away from where our favorite Columbiana howl was recorded.
Okay.
So it's not like this portion of Ohio is unfamiliar with Bigfoot sightings. So before I get into descriptions, I'm going to jump around in my outline because in 2019, the Travel Channel declared Ohio one of the country's biggest hotspots for Bigfoot. So Ohio is a squatchy area, and my friend, who is originally from Michigan, was telling me that right around the Ohio-Michigan border, the peninsula of Michigan, there's a lot of Bigfoot activity up there too. So we might have to drill into Michigan Bigfoot too.
That makes sense.
And BFRO has been tracking cases of Bigfoot sightings as far back as 1960, and their site has 328 reports right now. And these are not so this is not counting these new ones. The BFRO does not have these sightings documented right now. And a cluster of this nature has not been seen since the 1970s, when I believe his name was the Minerva Monster was sighted. So this is new since the late 70s.
So there hasn't been any sightings since then, or not of this nature?
Not of this nature, not this many sightings since the 1970s.
So something's changed.
Something has changed. Yes, something is bringing them out.
Once again, it'd be interesting to be able to get to the bottom of that, but there's a lot of variables, isn't there?
There are a lot of variables to consider here.
You mentioned food, water,
humans,
intrusion on their environment, on their habitat, forest deforestation. Who knows what? Because Ohio, many of you who are science fiction fans know that Ohio is the home for many an alien or some kind of monster invasion.
So many.
The faculty, Ohio, the Midwest. I mean, there's been plenty of sightings and things in Ohio, and sometimes even Indiana, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. Strange to think that, but Ohio is a sort of a hub for a lot of things that are perceived to be supernatural or related to aliens.
If you go back to our Fresno Nightcrawler video,
there we go.
There was supposedly a cryptid that looked similar to the Fresno Nightcrawler hanging out in Ohio too. So Ohio's really got it all.
Yeah, it has. And then I do like Ohio.
I like Ohio too.
I wonder if there's an Amish Bigfoot. up in Amish country in Berlin.
Oh, I'm sure there is, because who wouldn't want to have access to those pies all the time? Like, the Amish people are like baking pies and sending them out to cool, and Bigfoot's just like, yep.
I love
This one's
Amish
mine.
pies, and I love Berlin, Ohio. Can't beat the food or the desserts. So Bigfoot, if you're out there, enjoy.
Yeah, have some for the two of us.
Yes. So obviously, this has to be looked into more by the BFRO and others. I'm guessing they're not rushing to place it on their site, right?
So I don't know what the BFRO is looking at and doing with it. Bigfoot Society is reporting on it, and the host of the Bigfoot Society has talked to some of the people who were involved in this. Now, it's important to know that all of these sightings are anonymous right now. But the host of Bigfoot Society podcast has reported 8 sightings.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of sightings.
So let me ask you, and so I'm going to ask you this, and I'm going to ask our audience this. If you saw a Bigfoot, would you report it and not be anonymous, Sue?
Oh, I would absolutely no. I would not be anonymous at all. And I know people are worried about their neighbors or their employer or whoever calling them crazy, but I'm pretty sure that if my manager saw me on the news reporting a Bigfoot sighting, she'd be like, that's of course she did, yes.
Yeah, I definitely would not hesitate saying, yep, spell my name right, but it was me. So if you think you would report a Bigfoot sighting using your real name, let us know in the comment section. I'd like to know that. She mentioned anonymous. A lot of people still have that, a feeling that they're going to be abused by their neighbors, made fun of. And I'm sure this is the same with people that see UFOs. No one takes them credibly. And I think people should be taken credibly. If they have a story and have, a sense about them, you should listen to their story and not make fun of them. So if you think you would, let us know. I know I would, because I think it's important to really the greater research of Bigfoot for people to actually say and what they've seen and tell the truth and let people know who they are. So, because you hear anonymous, it's not their line. They made it up. I don't know. I mean, it's not something I get up in the morning and say I'm going to make up Bigfoot sighting.
No, I've never once said that.
No.
But I think there's less stigma about these types of things now.
Yeah.
Like, if you say that you've seen a Bigfoot, people go, oh, that's cool. As opposed to 50 years ago where people went, ooh, okay,
Depends
sure.
on the age too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, everybody has their viewpoints.
So, yeah, that's why we're here, and we're here to talk about them.
That we are. And, it's a joy to hear people talk about Bigfoot, and you can't beat it as a campfire story, though.
One of my friends looked at me very seriously and said, I think Bigfoot's an alien. And I said, okay, that's great. You have a theory on it. You have an opinion on it. I don't agree with you on it, but lots of people think that that's the truth. So that's great. If that's your opinion on it, that's great. Good call.
When you go into the alien ship, the controls are massive. The power button's this big instead of this big because Bigfoot's hand's so big. I guess you'd have to engineer it for size, right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know all aliens are Bigfoot, but
right,
some of them they have specific ships.
Right, they all have different shifts, and I think sometimes they meet here on Earth as a for a conference. They order some Chick-fil-A in or whatever, or Subway hoagies, and they're ready to go.
Yeah, and So I've heard that. I've watched some YouTube channels. They're a little far out there even for me, but I have heard that discussion that Bigfoot kind of uses this as their home planet, and they kind of bounce around other portals and dimensions.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm glad you have a theory.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah, look, good. You have a theory. That's great.
We don't necessarily have a theory. We just believe that Bigfoot's a cryptid, a physical being.
I believe he's a physical being. I actually believe he's a descendant of Gigantopithecus.
Right. So that's Sue's theory, and I respect it. I don't know. Maybe he is a relative. But the truth is, unless we research and find more sightings and get more information, we may never really know because, again, this is a very elusive creature.
Right.
We've talked about this. you know, and once again, when you go into forests, you realize you might think this is a big 7-8 foot creature, but he matches the forest perfectly. He knows the forest well. He knows all the hideouts and places to go. He stays within his own realm. And just to go out there and say, I'm going to go find Bigfoot, like they do on many of the TV shows, I don't know that that's going to work out very often.
So remember you said that because we're going to talk about that more in a few minutes.
Okay.
So let's talk about what these creatures looked like.
Oh, okay.
Because everybody didn't... There are so many different places that you could go with this. And I know I told you this was going to be a shorter episode.
Yeah.
But now that I'm talking, I could go 100 different conspiracies on this thing. But no, everybody wasn't seeing the exact same creature. So it's not like it was one Bigfoot. So all of the descriptions were similar, but they were not the same. Witnesses reported a tall, upright figure with brown or black hair walking in long strides. Okay. They most clarified that it was not a bear. They could tell that it was not a bear. We always hear they know it is not a bear. It's not a bear. These animals had strong smells and they made grunting sounds. In at least one case, a dog reacted to the animal in a fashion that was not normal for the dogs. And most of these sightings did occur during the day, except for one sighting that was a man letting his dog out at 4 a.m.
Okay, so they weren't all exactly the same thing as far as what people saw.
Right. So, and some of them were a little taller, some of them were a little shorter. One woman said that the thing's face looked a little blurry.
Well, let's be honest. If we never saw a human before and we went to Earth, you'd see every size, shape, and color of humans.
So if we're going to say that it's all the... Okay, so if there's a portal open and there's one Bigfoot moving through, people don't think it would look exactly the same. So this tells me that there are multiple ones out there that are moving across the area.
Yeah, I kind of would think that would be the case because they all might not be related or connected.
Right.
Or again, they might be.
They might be. So it could be, if you believe it's a portal being, all of these portals could be opening up and they could all be coming out of these portals. If you believe it's a physical being, there's some kind of migration going on. If you believe, I'm trying to think of what some of our other ones, if you believe it's an alien, okay, let's say it's an alien for a second. I want to know, were there any other sightings? Like, were there any other strange sightings? Lights in the sky? Any other UFO reports or anything that week? Because there was a meteor earlier this week. Did you see the meteor?
Yes. I didn't see it, but I read about it.
Right. So maybe this is all connected. Maybe there is something going on over there.
True. Sue hits a point here, friends, that because we don't understand how it all connects, or if they connect, or if only some things connect, we're not going to understand a way to make sense of what's happening. And I believe that you just got to go with what you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
At some point, I just watched Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull after many years. And I enjoy those movies. And what's interesting is there was a spaceship involved and there were aliens involved. Of course, you'd think, well, it's Indiana Jones. But he had to do his archaeology. And at the end, they said, are these space beings? And one of the professors was there talking about it, said, no, they're portal beings. And I thought of this. They didn't travel through space. They traveled, as he mentioned, through the space between space, that universe, that world. And of course, Bigfoot, many believe, does the same thing. It varies. Maybe it's a different place. Maybe it's just they end up, instead of being here in America on the East Coast, maybe they're on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Or maybe they travel from Cleveland to Toledo. Or maybe only 100 yards away. But these are things we have to consider because we don't understand. Good point about the meteor. Is it connected? In the past, when our ancestors, it probably would have been.
And again, mainstream media is picking this up. So what is being reported out there that mainstream media is not picking up? That's not getting back to the two podcasters in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania.
Right. Well, that's true. What aren't they? Now remember, this is a story they pick up off the wire. They're not doing any research. It's an interesting story that stuck out, that's different. and it probably was maybe not a great news day for some local news, so they used it. But it was big enough for that to be shown in the New York Times, and that's pretty big. Is it New York Times?
New York Times, People Magazine, Fox News, those were all the big ones.
Fox News, it's hard to believe anything they say, but...
Yeah, I didn't believe it when Fox News said it. But,
yeah.
that's why I looked for a real source.
Yeah. At any rate, so where do we go from here, Sue, with that?
Well, the sheriff of Portage County himself told one of the local affiliates, 10 people were like, yeah, I was walking my dog, then I saw a big creature with a musty odor, and suddenly it ran. And I'm sure the sheriffs of these small towns get a whole bunch of little weird sightings on a regular basis. They are the guys who get hey, there's lights in the sky. I
Chupacabra.
think, yeah, something's coming. I saw a cryptid with it looked like an insect and its knees bent backwards, and it was actually just the Fresno nightcrawler out for a walk.
Right.
They're used to getting these types of calls.
Yeah.
So I am sure that the local sheriffs in these areas were not like, oh, we better get out there right now because there's a Bigfoot out there and we are going to be rich because we're going to prove that this thing is real. I'm sure they were like, all right, sure, sounds good. Thanks for calling. Talk to you later.
And they probably have 1,000 reports like that in their files.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, if you looked at all of these local things, I'm sure that they've got boxes and boxes and boxes out there.
But that's even a point, too. How many of them are just crazy, but how many of them have some truth to them?
Well, and you think, okay, so like, let's go back a little bit in time. Do you remember the late night talk shows when like insomniacs or like truckers would just call in and talk to the late night radio host?
Yeah.
Well, now they don't have to do that because there are podcasters like us out there who want to tell their stories and want to hear from them. So you don't have to bother the late night radio host anymore. You could just call the sheriff, and when the sheriff tells you, all right, that's nice, have a good night, ma'am, you just get online and you find the local podcast and call them up and they report your story for you.
I saw Bigfoot. He was 12 foot tall. Yes, sir.
He was eating a blueberry pie.
Yeah, he had a blueberry pie, my wife's. I took it right off the shelf.
Just like Yogi Bear.
Yeah, just like Yogi Bear. Oh, my Lord.
This is not the only Bigfoot story that's out there this week.
Okay, so what's next?
All right, so get ready to keep your conspiracy theory hat on.
Oh, I got it on.
All right, so this week there was news about the Patterson-Gimlin film out.
Oh.
So a documentary dropped this week at the 2026 SXSW Film and TV Festival. And it is called Capturing Bigfoot, and it claims that there is new evidence that the Patterson-Gimlin film is nothing but a hoax.
Okay.
So what happened was supposedly a new canister of film has come out showing the hoax. And this film shows what would be a trial run of the Patterson-Gimlin film, including a much skinnier Sasquatch than what was filmed in the video. And it supposedly has an interview with an 80-something-year-old man named Bob Romeus, who confessed to being the individual wearing the suit. Now, I believe there have been past people claim to have been the person wearing the suit.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, I thought I remembered that when I read that. So even Patterson's oldest son claims to have learned that the film was a fake from his mother, and Patterson created the suit that was being worn, and he then burned it behind the family's house. So what do you think? Just hearing all that, what do you think?
Once again, first of all, in the big world of Bigfoot, it doesn't mean much. That was one film that was contested since it came out, and many people believe that it was legitimate. We mentioned that on our video, that a lot of experts said it wasn't faked, wasn't manipulated in any way. A lot of folks looked at the Bigfoot and said, that, it has pretty much the rudimentary outline and physique that you would have of a creature that big, and it was a female. Mm-hmm. So in the scheme of things, everybody always wants to debunk something. That's fine. Maybe this is true. I don't know that it's this many years later that it matters.
I also don't think it matters because we have the internet now. Like, we have the Columbiana howl that we have circulated, that other places have circulated.
We'll put that right here.
Woohoo. We have the BFRO, we have the PBS, we have reported sightings, we have people who are claiming that they have seen Bigfoot, and some of these are people who would never say that they had seen Bigfoot before, have whole libraries of books on Bigfoot. So if you are using the Patterson-Gimlin film as your source of truth that Bigfoot exists, I think that was fine before the internet existed, but I don't think we can do that anymore.
Right. And we mentioned it here because it is part of the lore of Bigfoot, but even if we took that 5 minutes we talked about it out of our numerous hours of video, it doesn't matter. We truly believe that outside of anything that film proves or disproves, that there's plenty of evidence, as Sue mentioned, plenty of eyewitness sightings, solid ones, that kind of back up the fact that there is some large creature roaming the woods, many of the woods that and forests of the world. So I don't know that that's going to bother me much.
No, it doesn't bother me much. And I obviously have not seen this documentary. I will look for it when it hits mainstream release. But you can't say that all of these things are necessarily true. Even I know people are going to say, well, Patterson's son spoke about it. Okay, well, maybe he's tired of hearing about it and he wants to debunk it himself because he wants people to move on from it. So I don't know. This is not necessarily enough evidence for me to say, okay, well, it's definitely fake. Because there could always be that one piece that is making somebody say something. Like we said, how many people have said that they are the person who wore the suit?
Plenty. And, that's the problem with any time you want to go back and disprove something so many years later. So let's go back to Roswell, New Mexico, the famous crashed UFO. We had a video, we talked about this.
We did.
And a lot of folks don't believe it existed. A lot of folks believe it did. And there's been the military saying that no, it was a balloon, it was a weather balloon, it was this, it was that. My point is it really doesn't matter what happened there, because before Roswell and after Roswell, there's plenty of other types of evidence that people have seen with their own eyes that makes us understand that there are unidentified flying objects. We know that Project Blue Book,
the government admits it.
We know this. We know there's underwater submerged objects, USOs. People see this in the ocean, pretty much offshore. We see this. What are they? People believe they're some type of alien spacecraft detached from Roswell. Similarly now, the whole thing with the film that they're debunking is so old now that it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter.
Because there's been how many years after that of sightings by people from across the world.
And again, so I like to watch reruns of 70s TV shows, particularly Little House on the Prairie.
Oh my.
And if you watch that show, you will see a lot of bloopers or incidents that made it into the TV show itself when it aired live, that you can see cameras and reflections of windows. You can see cars in the background. You can see tire tracks. You can see cables pulling things along. So it was never meant to be. In the 70s, they didn't know that you were going to be able to stream that and rewatch it and be able to see it that many times. And it's the same thing with the Patterson-Gimlin film. Maybe they knew that that film would be around for years and people would study it and watch it and be like, well, there it is. It's proof. But they didn't have any concept of the internet, or that people were going to be able to analyze it, or that we were going to get these archives filled with sightings and books and pictures and trail cameras and whatever else that people were going to be able to document all this evidence. So the Patterson-Gimlin film is just another page in the Bigfoot documentation.
Right. And whether you keep it there or not, you put an asterisk by it or not, isn't that important? And I don't know. I don't really know if it's real or not, and they're claiming it isn't. Okay, that's fine. But we all have to move on from it and understand what's happening right now. In
Right.
Ohio, not far from here, not more than an hour and a half from here, people saw Bigfoot moving east.
Several people saw several Bigfoot, if you believe the descriptions of them. So, and you can say, you talked about weather. They say it's a weather balloon, and I think back to the person who was interviewed by the Erie News who claimed that the alien on Presque Isle was just his weather balloon off of the back of his boy's life. No, it wasn't. Nice try, but no, it wasn't. But my point with that is people will do a lot of things for 5 minutes of fame. And you can't even get 5 minutes of fame, really, with these sightings or reporting sightings anymore, because there are pages like the PBS and the BFRO and whatever other state organizations have that document these cases and are like, okay, yeah, we've had a whole cluster of them.
Thank you.
In this area.
Thank you
thanks for
reporting
telling
it.
us. Move on. Like, this is not the same days where you could call up the news and say that you saw Bigfoot and that was your chance to get on TV.
Yeah, and that was, again, even then, you had to be pretty bold to be able to lie about something like that to TV and to newspapers, to your neighbors, and I'm sure it happened. But let's be honest, that's not really how all of it is. We realize that people who live in the woods, that live near woods, have a better shot at seeing Bigfoot, right?
Yes.
And we know that they understand what the woods are like. They understand the noises, the sounds. And so when they see something different, like Bigfoot, it sticks out. Now, for all of us who are city folk, well, we're not really city folk. We're townspeople. We're townies. But city folk have no comprehension of that. So they're going to say, it's crazy. But it's because you've never been to the forest. You've never been. So let's just suffice it to say that just like you mentioned with Roswell and the Erie UFO encounter, there's always somebody that knows better, that's smarter, that has the explanation. They're the logical people. They're going to explain it to you because it's not real, and I'll tell you what it really was. I had a balloon. It doesn't even match the description of the UFO that was seen or sighted, but you know better. And the same with people with UFOs. And of course, this documentary for Bigfoot, he may know better. He may be trying to find a way to disprove all Bigfoot. We don't know who this guy is.
He may not like Bigfoot.
So he's going to try to tear down the foundation, but that Patterson-Gimlin field is not the foundation.
And he may have legitimate evidence showing that this is fake.
Maybe he does.
He may. And I honestly, if he does, I'm interested. I would like to see it. I would like to watch the documentary, hear what he has to say. But at the same time, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because it's just one other thing. That won't be the first Bigfoot sighting to be debunked. It's one of the most popular, but maybe the most popular.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't care. Like, that's not what's going to sway me whether or not Bigfoot is real or not.
Right. And I think all of us have to just stay firm on the evidence we have now. And I'll be honest with you, once again, there's always people that they don't want to engage in conversation. They just want to engage in, I know better, and it's not true because I said it wasn't true. Well, what evidence do you have that it's not true? And this is where we're all at. Those of us who do podcasts like this, those that go out in the woods and investigate, those that do research, this is what they're up against. Still a large part of the population knows everything. They know better. And you might be the one doing the work, but they know better because there isn't. Well, why? Because my mother said so. Well, how does your mother know? Well, her dad told her. Well, how did her dad know? And it can go on and
told
on.
him.
Yeah. I mean, we've got to really just stand up for what's true and stand up for working to investigate and research like the girls do here to give you the best information we can give you.
You do your research. You come up with your own theory. We are happy to listen to all theories. We may not agree with your theory, but that's okay. We don't have to.
We don't have to agree. And there are variations of every theory.
There are. I'm just happy when people come up with theories on it and they don't just say, well, I don't know, or they don't just write it off or something. But when somebody comes up to me and says, I think Bigfoot's blank. Okay, cool. Good. I'm glad you came up with that.
Kind of reminds me of the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
And the government brought him into this interview, and they had people of all types there. And the one guy, he always plays like, it looks like a wild guy. And he said, I saw Bigfoot once, and he tossed a cigarette ashtray about 4 feet away. Their footprint was that big. It's like 4 foot big, and everybody's looking at him like, you're crazy. But you get this brings out both sides of people. Paranormal investigation brings it out. You got people on all sides, and you just got to live with it.
Yeah.
Sue and I deal with it,
all the time.
with how people think, and we go, that's nice that you think that.
Yeah, and not everyone is as invested in the Sasquatch as we are.
We
here
love
at
the
Nights Around the
Sasquatch.
Fire. We love our Bigfoot.
There. Yes, we do. And Sue, well, Sue
I have sheep on today.
if you want to complain about Sue not wearing her paraphernalia, you can at comments or at strangeworld777 at yahoo.com.
Just leave them in the comments. I read those pretty often, so just leave them in the comments. It'll be easier for all of us.
So what else you got, Sue? So where we go with this?
Okay, so a couple of big things that I want to emphasize here that I've heard some other podcasts mention. If you are watching this podcast and your first reaction is, oh boy, I'm going to get out there and investigate these, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I'm going to tell you to do it carefully, because you are not the only person who is thinking about doing that. I have already seen some Facebook posts of people going out there and getting some pictures of footprints and trying to do some casting of footprints. This is a big story. Lots of people are trying to get out there to be a part of it and to see what's going on out there. So if you are going out there, don't trespass on private property. That's not very nice. You're probably not going to see a Bigfoot. So Bigfoot is probably long gone from here, and adding more people into the area, as we have discussed here, are going to get right out of there. That's a big no-no for Bigfoot. They are going to head right on out as soon as the hunters come in. So if you think those wood knocks that you are doing is Bigfoot talking back to you, I have some bad news for you. Okay. Also, please be very careful if you're going to take guns out there. We here at Nights Around the Fire don't advocate shooting Bigfoot or trying to run Bigfoot over with your car.
No.
We all think those are very bad ideas, unless you're John Lithgow. If John Lithgow wants to go out there and try to hit a Bigfoot with his car, okay, I'll go with that. So,
Harry and the Hendersons, by the way.
Harry and the Hendersons. Yeah, look it up. Great movie. But be very careful. Don't just blindly shoot into the woods. Don't pull a mountain monsters and just go shooting into the dark. That's a very bad idea. You could really hurt somebody doing that.
You can. And Mountain Monsters is one of the worst programs I've ever seen in my life. We'll bring it up again because it's that bad. Bringing guns and making traps to capture Bigfoot is absurd and crazy.
Oh, yes, traps. That's also a terrible idea. Don't do that either.
Just understand it. It seems like Bigfoot's pretty laid back. He does not want encounters with people. At least most of them don't. But if you piss him off and you don't shoot him and hurt him, or your trap doesn't work, you got a 1,500-pound, 8-foot animal that can rip your arms off.
Maybe we sit down and read Max Brooks' Devolution before we go out there.
Yeah.
And that'll give you some really good ideas of what not to do. So let's read that first. Then you can go out there. But if you're still going to go out there, be kind to the land, be kind to each other, be kind to Bigfoot. Just go out there and be decent human beings.
I know it's hard for a lot of people to think that way, but we're going to tell you here from Nights Around the Fire, we believe in a peaceful engagement with Bigfoot and those also looking for Bigfoot.
Yes, we don't want to see anybody hurt. The other guy that's out there, or Bigfoot.
I know our co-host Ashley worries about stuff like that. And she worries that they'll grab her and drag her off.
Now, okay, so I'm going to give that one to her because you've got a better chance of being hurt by some crazy person who's out in the woods looking for Bigfoot than you actually do with Bigfoot himself.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So I'm going to... Ashley, that you should be afraid of.
Now, of course, I can't talk about a bear that might find you, or a mountain lion, or a wolf or something. That's another story.
Different category.
You're on your own there. And Ashley, you're small enough that it would drag you off. We'd have to find a new co-host. That's a lot of work. So don't do it.
We don't want that. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Ashley, don't go out to Ohio and look for Bigfoot. Just stay put.
Stay put. Okay, so Any other information on the Ohio Bigfoot?
No, that's our March 2026 updates on Bigfoot. We'll return you to your regularly scheduled Ireland videos after this one.
Right. And while Sue brings that up, I'll let you know that, hey, if you enjoy our content, you enjoy us, and you like what we're giving you here, please consider subscribing to our channel.
Squash that like button.
And share the video with as many people as you can. We want to grow. We thank all of our new subscribers that have come on board the last month. Thank you so much for trusting us with your paranormal interests. We're here for you.
Here at Canonsburg's #1 paranormal podcast.
Nights Around the Fire. So keep that in mind. We do have some great things coming up. Another Ireland video.
We've got 2 more Ireland videos coming in our Ireland series for you. Ashley and I are working on our McCamey Manor video so that the 3 of us can connect and do a great video for you guys. And we will be starting off on our Greene County series here in the next few months.
Very excited.
We're excited, but I don't know if I'm emotionally prepared as to where to start on Greene County, because y'all got a lot down there in Greene County.
They do. It's a very interesting place. I worked there for a short time.
I'm going down next weekend. Maybe I'll see something.
Yeah, maybe you will. And remember, we do have our videos with Ken the Ghost Hunter, paranormal investigator.
And we'll be back.
He has a video out on basically all the equipment he uses. He explains that. And he also have a video out where he talks about the Carnegie Museum and Music Hall right here in southwestern Pennsylvania, in Carnegie, Pennsylvania. Those of you that don't know, Andrew Carnegie had steel mills here, of course, and he, being a robber baron, he finally felt he wanted to do something for the poor people, and he built libraries everywhere. And of course, there's a big one in Pittsburgh, the Carnegie Library, but there's branches everywhere. And of course, there's one in Carnegie, PA, beautiful building. I'll show you that picture right here. And he talks about, or Ken Smith talks about the haunt there. It's a very interesting story. Check it out. And if you want more ghosts and stuff like that, wait till our Greene County exploits.
Yeah, we're going to get out to some haunted buildings in Greene County. I'm going to make some calls and try to get us into the Foundry down at Greene County. And we are also going to go see our friends down at the Greene County Historical Society. So that's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of haunts down there. We'll bring Ken with us so you guys can see all of his equipment in action. So get ready. That Greene County series is going to be one not to miss.
We're going to love it. And we're here doing it for you. So please join us. Participate by commenting, sharing your opinions on our email. Again, strangeworlds777@yahoo.com. We want to hear from you. Sue wants to hear from you.
I do.
And remember, we're Canonsburg's #1 paranormal podcast. We're here finding it all out for you. That's all you have?
So, yeah, that's all we got.
Sounds like a great video. Please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next time right here on Nights Around the Fire.
Bye, guys.
See ya.